two of us will moderate today's discussion. I hope you and your families are doing well and staying safe. Our discussion today is on Active Directory management and how it helps define an employee's digital identity and access within the organization. The discussion is in association with ManageEngine. ManageEngine is a division of Zoho and provides enterprise IT management solutions. India has witnessed a surge in cyber attacks since people started working from home last year. That's when there was a rapid adoption of digital services across the country. It's often said that the weakest link in the cybersecurity chain in the organization is the employee. And that is where Active Directory management plays an important role in minimizing risk. To discuss this, we have two seasoned professionals in the space.
We have Vivin Sathyan. Vivin is a senior technical evangelist for the AD solutions team at ManageEngine. Vivin presents proofs of concepts and takes care of implementation as well as product training for AD solutions customers across the globe. He's a regular speaker on the latest trends and business practices in Windows infrastructure management in international seminars and user conferences conducted by ManageEngine. Welcome, Vivin.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for the opportunity. And
we have Rahul Shashi. Rahul founded CloudSEK, a cybersecurity and machine intelligence company 6 years ago. He was voted as the top influential cybersecurity person in 2015 by the Null community, a not-for-profit open security company. He has made significant open source contributions to the security landscape. Rahul is part of working committees of RBI and the Ministry of Electronics and IT. Welcome, Rahul.
Thank you.
Those who are viewing this can send in questions through the Facebook comment box. Shilpa and I will put them to Vivin and Rahul. Vivin, let me ask you first, in the interest of the larger audience, can you briefly tell us what is Active Directory?
Well, that's a good place to start with. So now that the whole discussion is going to be around Active Directory, well, you can think of Active Directory something similar to a telephone directory. It stores information. So the telephone directory stores information with their phone numbers, and it has a way of storing information. The information is stored alphabetically. Similarly, when it comes to Active Directory, that's another identity repository. So you have your user information getting stored, and they are grouped based on a logic. Okay? Talking about it a bit technically, so you have classifications like domains, trees, forests, and inside of these domains, you have users, groups, and computers. So they're basically used for two core reasons. One is centralized administration. So it becomes much more easier for administrators to manage, right? Rather than going to every individual system, it becomes centralized administration was the key. I mean, we are talking about a technology that was, introduced almost 20 years ago. And the second important reason is for authentication and authorization. So authentication is, I open up my laptop, type in my username and password, hit enter, and my system allows me or it kicks me out. Okay, that's authentication. And after I log into my system, I'm allowed access to certain piece of information. I'm restricted access to certain other piece of information. So that's authorization. So that's it. So Active Directory is a centralized repository, an identity repository.
Okay, centralized management and authentication and authorization.
Authorization, that's the core.
Those are the core. Okay, so which means what? All companies have this. How do companies differ in Active Directory management?
All right. Talking about it from the last 20 years adoption, I would say that easily, if you take the Fortune 500 companies, at least 60% of them still use or rely on Active Directory. That's the reach of that technology. Okay. Of course, people are now moving to the cloud. There's a bit of transition happening and all that. That's true. But Active Directory, on-prem Active Directory as a technology platform, is here to stay at least for the next 5 to 10 years. So yes, organizations are using it even till date.
And this is a critical part of ensuring security, I would imagine.
Oh, obviously, because you're talking about let's say you have Times of India, and then you have n number of employees, and all those employees need to be managed. They need to be given access to certain resources. All that can be taken care of Active Directory. So it's basically like that's your kingdom. Okay, talking about it from an IT security standpoint. And if you do not pay enough attention to that kingdom, well, the castle goes down. So as simple as that. So it is important that we pay enough attention. Not forgetting the basics would be a good place to start with.
Not forgetting the basics. Okay. Rahul, Or what? I mean, we often say employees are often the weakest link, as Shilpa said as an introduction. What is that always the case?
Yeah. So, I mean, let me just add to something what Vivin said, right? And from a cybersecurity perspective, if you look at all the global hacks and just go read every hack that has happened, maybe in the last 1 year, you would always hear one fundamental thing: an unpatched system. What is an unpatched system? A system who had a security update provided by the vendor, but they never updated it. And I'm not going to a computer philosophy. I even take a mobile app, right? If you look at the Pegasus and the snooping incident, well, both Android and iOS had an update, operating system update for the device. If you haven't updated it, your phones can be hacked by a hacker because of the security loopholes. So most of the hacks, now even the computers, happen because of an unpatched system, right? And how do you manage hundreds of in a company, right? There'll be hundreds of devices, mobiles, laptops, right? Who is going to update these systems at a point of time? Again, long back, not now. People used to manually go to each of these computers, check whether there was an update, and push an update into those systems. With the introduction of an Active Directory sort of system, you can manage all these things in a centralized place, and which is the key to cybersecurity. In one click, if I can solve the problem rather than going to 100 devices, it is the easiest way of cybersecurity, right? So it actually plays a prominent part in the cybersecurity ecosystem. I'll talk more in the coming time how different attacks actually take place.
Okay. Rahul, I'm told you need to be a little louder. Huh? I can hear you, but it might help to be a little louder. Shilpa?
Yeah. Rahul, increasingly people are working in a hybrid environment. How do we really mitigate the risk of cyber attacks and VPN-based attacks?
Yeah, so again, so VPN-based attacks, okay, let me tell you what the different kind of VPN attacks. And then to the people who might not know, VPN is a way to securely connect to your corporate infrastructure. Now, there are many websites on the internet which sells you the VPN credential of a company. For example, I can show you a website where you put timesofindia.com. It'll give you the list of 10 employees of yours whose computer was compromised, and then either the VPN key or the VPN password has been stolen from that computer and put for sale. Now, like I said, right, the hackers who collect this information are not the original hackers. They are like just collecting this information, giving it to someone else. There will be a second set of hackers who can go buy these credentials, log into the VPN network of whichever company they want to target, then pivot into other. So from your computer, we can reach your MD's computer, right, with an unpatched system. From your MD's computer or the CTO's computer, you can reach all the servers which has got the payment data in it, right? So you pivot from one way to the other. So most of the VPN hacks, I would say, are because of a credential leak which happened. Someone get access to that credential, sell it to someone else. That hacker takes that credentials, logs into your network, hacks other computers, right? So that is what a VPN hack primarily is about. There are other sophisticated hacks, but this is where VPN hack is. No, so I hope I'm able to explain that particular part.
Right. Vivin, you would like to add to this from an enterprise standpoint?
I agree with. I agree with whatever Rahul says. This is why I like to be on a panel discussion rather than a debate. You don't have to disagree with someone. So, so now adding to whatever Rahul said is that's very important. Rahul, gave you the problem, and the solution to it is multifold. Okay, it's not like I give you point A, you do it, and then you fix the problem. That's not how it works. If I were to give you a solution, or if I were to give the listener a solution, of course, this is well known, I would first start with patching. Okay, VPN is basically a client-server technology. All of us know this. So you open up your laptop, you're working from home, you want to connect to your corporate network. So you always have this small application sitting on your desktop, right? You double click that and you give in the details, hit enter, it connects you to your corporate network. That is a client that you're working on, and obviously it talks to your server. So both the client and the server needs to be patched. That is requirement number one. Number two is, now that we are talking about VPN as an entry point, it is always good that you implement multi-level checks in the entry point itself. And what I'm talking about is, I'm talking about multi-factor authentication. Okay, so instead of just relying on the username and password, if you have maybe an OTP, okay, just saying, it's much better.
Oh, we have that in Times of India, by the way. That's what
okay.
we have to. We have an OTP.
Okay, so yeah, so that's the second one, and the third one is after you deploy multi-factor authentication. Talking about VPN security from an auditing standpoint, it's really important that we understand whether what's happening with your VPN, who's logging in, are the users trying to log in, are they logging in from a location that is not so in your office's boundary. So let's say your office has places has it functions from 2 different countries, and all of a sudden a user initiates a VPN connection from any of the other places than this 2. That's kind of suspicious. So you have to train your in-house auditing tool, your SIEM tool, which we'll talk about it in detail, to actually track and alert such suspicious logon attempts. So when you do all these, there are high chances for you to fix most of the VPN attacks that we are talking about. There are still chances, but you'll cover the basics.
Okay, so this is all machine intelligence and all that, right? I think Rahul's CloudSEK is also majorly into machine intelligence, right?
Yeah. We focus on a different set. Okay, for example, right?
Problems. Okay.
Internal problems. We focus on external threats, right? The data which is put for sale, like it's the VPN credentials which are put for sale, is on the internet. We monitor that, right? But what if someone already has these credentials, right? What if someone already has these credentials? That is where the ManageEngine and their technology comes into place. Even if someone has these credentials, can you somehow invalidate it, or keep the damages minimal, right? Is the thing. So they are internal, we are external threats.
Okay. So Vivin, where you use a lot of AI and ML and all that, is it?
All right. AI and ML, yes, it's a broader topic, but talking about AI and ML in the context of Active Directory and VPN and all that, let me actually keep it really simple. Okay, we have this concept called UEBA, which is nothing but User and Entity Behavior Analytics. That's something that most of the vendors now adopt. Okay, it's basically what you do is ML at the end of the day is an algorithm, okay, set of codes, and you have algorithms, and the algorithms are there to do a certain piece of certain stuff. Okay. Now, what User and Entity Behavior Analytics does is, talking about it from an AD's standpoint, it understands your user's behavior in the first place, okay? And when there's a deviation, it flags the deviation, okay? That's the benefit of using ML here. So it's highly impossible for you to manually track everything. Let me give you an example.
Some example of deviation?
Absolutely. Let's talk about 3 types of deviations here: deviation in time, count, and pattern. Okay, my usual working hours is from 9 to 6. Okay, let's assume. Okay, we don't have any working hours now that we're working from home, but let's assume 9 to 6. Okay, all of a sudden I initiate a VPN connection at 2 o'clock. Okay, I try to connect to some of the confidential servers. That's a deviation in time that has to be flagged. Okay, now deviation in pattern. Pattern is I've been with Zoho Corporation for almost 10 years now. On an average, I copy, let's say, 20 files. All of a sudden, I'm uploading gigabytes worth of information, downloading gigabytes worth of information. That's a deviation in pattern, right? So deviation in time, count, and also pattern. Pattern is in these 10 years, I will access 1 laptop. I maybe access another laptop. I have a Mac laptop, 2 laptops, that's it. But all of a sudden, my username and password is seen on 10 different systems. Okay, that's a deviation in pattern. So all of this becomes highly impossible for you to track manually. That's when you leverage the help of machine learning or AI or whatever it is. And that's what is called as user and entity behavior analytics. Of course, there are a few other definitions as well, and few other details, which I'm not diving into at this point.
Okay. Shilpa?
Rahul, you spoke about the patches. Do you think you can proactively plug in these patches so that there are no cyber attacks, or you can avoid some of the cyber attacks? Is there a possible?
Yeah. So again, first of all, right, and okay, you can. The answer is you can. In fact, everything in technology, the answer is yes. So you can. The challenge is, right, for example, think about this, right? If it's a critical server, it has an update. You can always make it auto update, by the way. But then there's a set of program which is functioning on that, which is relying on the previous version of the software. When you update, it's a newer version. So the software which is running might not be compatible with the newer version of what is simple thing. You might have an app today. The app won't be supported in iPhone version 11, as simple as that. That is the fundamental problem of auto update not, working. So the answer is yes, it is there, but it's challenging, by the way. So you can't like make every system auto update. That will create havoc. One day your payment systems just stop. If your UPI stops, you won't be able to pay anymore anyone, right? So yeah, so I just wanted to make that point. Yes, challenge is there.
I thought nowadays a lot of things are happening without disrupting the continuing operations and all that. These architectures, not fully there yet?
I think Vivin can stretch more on that, but it is not like out of the box sort of thing that works well. There are challenges, but I'm pretty sure there are companies which are solving it, which is what I would let Vivin explain how they are solving that challenge.
Okay.
Yes, Sujit. Answering to your question, yes, there are ways by which you can do things without disrupting the flow, and there is a process in place. And many vendors out there are actually offering solutions to do that. Okay, so it's something like you have a staged process. Let me give you just 2 or 3 points. So let's say I have a server, and that server is being used for hosting an application that is used by, let's say, 10,000 users. Okay, all of them in different countries, and it's different time zones and all that. So if I push a patch to that server, and if the server goes down, that's it. Okay, we are talking about Mayday situation here. So how do you prevent that from happening? Is first you'll have to analyze the patch. There has to be a system by which you analyze the patch, and then the patch has to be tested even before it is pushed, and the patch has to be pushed maybe in a demo environment and then to your production environment, okay, without disrupting the actual flow. And that is exactly the process that is followed in most of these patch management systems that you have out there on the market, without disrupting the actual flow, because you don't want a patch that is supposed to fix the problem to be the problem itself. Okay. So yeah.
Okay. Shilpa?
Rahul, you spoke about how there are active hacker networks, preying on information, VPN data that's out there. So if you can talk about the dark web and how you as a company are looking at keeping your clients better informed on the threat landscape itself.
First of all, what we do as a company is there are threats that happen internally. That internally, all the computers which are connected internal have a bunch of threats. Then there are threats which are happening outside your corporate network. It can be someone creating a fake website in the name of your company. It can be a misconfigured server which is leaking information. It can be a document which is leaked by your employee somewhere on the internet. These are all threats outside your corporate network. So perimeter security is important, which is what Vivin is talking. We are outside, right? We are monitoring those sort of threats. So we are like an intelligence company which is constantly watching on behalf of our customers, telling them anything and everything which is happening. Now, I'll tell you a couple of incidents which is happening in these days, right? One of them is, like I said, right, there are websites, and you should read this report which we published 2 months back. It's a report called Initial Access Brokers. It talks about a bunch of hackers whose job is to get initial access to systems. They are not the major hackers. they might see a password which is working. They are not going to utilize it. They know that there is a password which works, or they know there are 10 computers which belongs to your organization, which is unpatched. They collect this information, there are different websites, put that in this information for sale. Basically, they're selling information, and they sell it for $5,000, which is a couple of lakhs. Now, an actual hacker who has much more skills buys this information for a couple of dollars, uses that information to pivot into your corporate network. So this is called initial access brokers. The guys is only giving initial access. They are not really hacking much, but limited skills. And the main hackers can be governments also, by the way. It can be anyone who's interested in you as an entity. Now with this initial information, they can do a lot of damage, and it's pretty fast also, by the way, right? So this is very, very active, and the report is mainly talking about this attack, right? So as a company, what we provide is these sort of intelligence. A CEO or an executive might not know all the different kind of threats and attacks which are happening on the internet. Because we have that visibility, we provide them that intelligence, give that strategic direction, saying that, well, there are people selling these credentials. Now, what do you have to protect? Right? And we give you evidences also saying, hey, well, these are your information, these are your passwords, right? Now, if someone has this password, or some attacker has already brought this password, what mechanism do you have today? Or if someone brought 10 servers, which is vulnerable to some security, how are you going to stop it, right? So then they can think and say, well, I need to put investments in these places, right? So we are a product which give alerts and then give strategic directions. So think of it as the combination of Google, because we have this huge data about every external threats, and McKinsey. We give strategic directions to the company. So we're like a combination of both. And that's what we give. And this is the final output.
Okay. And one of those recommendations could be around Active Directories and all that.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely.
Okay. Even there's this question from one of our viewers, Meenakshi Gopalan, something that you had referred to also. How is security on Active Directory managed in a multi-device environment? We use the same credentials and are entering these details on personal devices to access corporate mail and other features.
All right. Again, the answer. Now, my answer is always going to be multifold, because I, as a person, have also done security consulting for quite a few firms. So when I actually talk to administrators, the solution is not just a one-point solution. Okay, you'll have to do a lot of things. Number one is when you're talking about accessing corporate information from your personal devices, there are chances for data leakages. Okay, you'll have to watch out for data leakages, and you have ways to do it. Okay, so your browser could leak data. Okay, and there could be a DNS server leak. So we are talking about various points of compromise, or possible points of compromise. So all you have to do as an IT administrator is to set alarms in these places. Okay, and one of these alarm goes off, you know that you know the exact direction to run to fix that problem. Okay, so that's what I call as auditing. Okay, looking for data leak when you're accessing corporate information on personal laptops. The second thing is, again, when you do anything of that sort, when you're talking about traffic inbound and outbound and all that, accessing corporate data in the middle of the night. So you as an end user are not worried about corporate security. Your own security, yes, but corporate security is not your cup of tea. It's the IT admin's problem. Even though IT security is a team effort, they say, majority of the heavy lifting is done by the IT admins. Okay, so the IT administrators always have to leverage some sort of AI or ML in their log monitoring process, because it has become practically impossible to audit every event manually. Okay, and only an algorithm will be capable of going through your logs. You're talking about terabytes worth of information, okay, that get logged, and you'll have to correlate those logs. So when a security incident happened, it's not just always one log that I look into. It's just not always my Windows log or my laptop's log. No, you're talking about at least 10 different log sources, logs from your databases, from your applications, from your firewall, from your anti-spam, all kinds of logs. So it is all about connecting the dots, and connecting the dots is something that an AI or an ML algorithm can do at best. So my two recommendations in order to fix this problem would be setting the right alarms in the right places. Number two is see to that your SIEM solution has some sort of artificial intelligence built in, so that when something is wrong, you get notified. Okay, you get notified via an application. It's much better than an end user coming trying to you saying that something has gone wrong. Okay, so that's the whole point. So these are my 2 points.
Okay. Multi-factor authentication that you mentioned earlier, what are some best practices there?
All right. Let me start with a very basic example. It's all about identity assurance. I go to an ATM, okay, I insert my card, and then I just type in my PIN number, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I withdraw the amount. Or even before withdrawing the amount, after I type in my PIN number, it says an OTP has been sent to the registered mobile number. So you just have a look at your phone and then type in, key in that OTP as well, and then you take the money. Okay, so the PIN is layer 1 of authentication, whereas the OTP is the multi-factor authentication, or the second layer of authentication. So when you apply the same concept to an IT security boundary, that's what is called as deploying MFA for your users. Okay, when it comes to an ATM, an OTP is good enough. Okay, but when it comes to your organizational's data, it's not, an OTP is not going to be that good enough. You'll have to think about various strategies that you can deploy. Okay, for example, I might have to deploy 2 levels of verification for my regular users, whereas for my admins who have access to sensitive information, I might have to deploy maybe 2 or 3 levels of access. More the number of levels, higher the security. Having said that, you'll have to know where to stop. You cannot just go on adding levels and levels and levels. That doesn't make sense. Okay, so MFA is basically identity assurance, and it is you'll have to always strike the right balance between user convenience and security when you're deploying MFA. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, I sometimes find even that OTP a little irritating, but yeah, I know
it's for the greater good.
To add layers on top of that would be like
it's taking a vaccine. It's always good. It's painful, but it's good.
Shilpa?
Yeah, we have this audience question from Venkatesh Mamidi. For an organization using a Google suite and planning to switch to an Office 365 suite, can we switch to AD management?
Question 2.
Yeah. Vivin and Rahul, both of you can chime in.
It depends on your organizational need, because Google Workspace offer a different kind of experience and you have different functionalities. So it's like comparing apples and oranges. So you cannot say which is better. Okay, it all depends on that organizational's requirement. If you feel like you're already used to Microsoft's way of doing things, let's say you're already an IT administrator who has been exposed to the Microsoft world, then I would say, yes, switch to Office 365, okay? Because it's more or less the same. Of course, different tools and all that, but the dynamics is more or less the same. But when you are not exposed to, Active Directory, you are a new administrator, and you're asking me, what do I do? Well, then the choice is yours. So if you're already exposed to a Microsoft technology, it makes sense to switch to another Microsoft technology. But if you have no prior exposure, the choice is all yours. Okay, it all boils down to your organizational requirements. So that's my answer.
Okay, Rahul. I know you are not directly in the end user space, but advice to end users, something to kind of ensure they're behaving correctly.
No, by the way, I just wanted to add to the
sure.
The ML part. I'm not using the word AI here. The behavior part, right? I mean, I'm not sure if you are aware. There are ML models today that can detect whether you are using your phone by just comparing the way you interact with your screen.
Wow.
It's actually falling under the behavioral category part, right? The way you swipe on your phone or the way you type on your phone is very different.
Wow.
Of course, a human can't detect it, but there are algorithms, ML algorithms, which can very much classify, hey, this is Sujit who is typing on my phone, sort of, which is the behavioral thing he was talking about, which is important, right? Which is also acting as like a, okay, the first factor of prevention is an OTP. You have, and if you don't have an OTP for your emails, et cetera, you should have it immediately. You should also have also, what is another two factor for consumers? Well, you should definitely have a password on your WhatsApp. By default, WhatsApp allows you to have a password. Right? So even if your phone is unlocked by someone, you still can't lose all your WhatsApp contacts. I mean, information, right? And then there are certain services, by the way, not on iPhone, but Android, which can detect whether you are actually using your phone or not by using these behavioral patterns. By the way, there are apps available. So even if someone has your password and your WhatsApp password also, they can still lock your phone via having those apps. I'm just told you this because, you know, this is where the behavioral patterns and how the behavioral pattern recognition is actually helping consumers. Just wanted to add. And the same technology is what they're using in their software to prevent any sort of attackers. So assuming that someone already has access, what next? Right. So that is a different factor they're talking about. So just wanted to fill that here. Yeah. Any more, like I said, right? I mean, we have seen, I'll tell you this, by the way, and most of the people are not aware they are hacked. Almost everyone would be hacked. It's just that they don't know, as simple as that. And every computer I have seen, a colleague's computer, like from outside our office, if I've seen a Windows computer, there is some malware on that computer. It might be from by a government organization, if you're an interesting candidate, or it might be from a cyber criminal organization. Cyber criminals are very focused on your information, your bank usernames and passwords, the OTPs you receive on your emails, etc., are their focus. So it might be a malware by them, or it might be a crypto mining malware, a malware which mines cryptography on your computer, so that your computer is used to make money for someone else, right? So the point I'm trying to make is all of your computers in a way would be having one of these things. It's just that you would not know.
Really?
Like learning to live with Corona, okay? The new normal, this.
Huh.
So again, I mean, under this scenario, what would you do is one important thing. And again, I would as much as try to avoid critical information, personal information on your desktops. I wouldn't do that.
Don't put personal information on your local hard drive.
On your hard drive, right? Same goes to personal information on a lot of critical, sensitive information on your phone. Keep that maybe on a cloud, a trustable cloud service provider, not on your phone. And even there are people who can take when you sell your phones, right? None of the phones are just getting sold to another person. There are people who extract information from the phone's hard drive, memory card, right? Which is, even if you delete it, it's still there, by the way, just FYI, and then resell that. So a lot of things which is happening in that space. So I'm saying from the consumer perspective, these are things you can do. And of course, keep updating your devices. But critical information, don't keep on your phone and nor on your mobile device hard drive.
Okay. Yeah. Vivin, there's this question from Rajat Sanyala saying our organization mandates us to change our AD password once in every 90 days. Is this too long or too soon? What is the optimal time to change this?
Okay. If you ask me, I can talk about it from two perspectives. Talking about it from an IT administrator perspective, change it once in every 20 days.
Okay? 20 days, okay.
Talking about from a user's perspective, you're better off if you change it once in every 45 days, okay? So now people are talking about password-less authentication and all that, but and even one of Microsoft's recommendation for Office 365 says, well, don't force your users to change passwords. Okay, always go for MFA. Now, I would like to politely disagree. Okay, what I would say is, as long as you're using a password, it's wise for you to change a password once in every 30 days or 45 days. It might look like it's a pain, but trust me, it's not, because when you actually get a pop-up in your screen saying that you're hacked, give me X amount of dollars and all your files are encrypted, it doesn't look that sweet. Okay? So it's always good to do certain things, certain basic things like changing your passwords once in every 30 days or 45 days, and also ensuring that we set decent passwords. Okay, this is my request. So I've been on security consultations, and I'll not name the organization. So this is, by the way, one of the Fortune 500 companies that I walked into, and I was in the IT team, and I could see that they had sticky notes just on their cubicles with the name of the computers and the passwords for easy remembrance, for convenience. Okay. So that's the kind of practice that even the large enterprises follow. Not all, but some. Okay. So changing your password once in every 30 days, and also making sure that you do not use easily guessable passwords like password at 123, QWERTY, 12345, whatever it is. Okay, don't fall in that trap. If you're using that, I wish you the best of luck.
Well, what do you make of password management softwares and all that?
They are important. You know why? They are good at two things. One is they are good at storing your passwords securely. Again, that's debatable. It depends on what encryption they are using, how strong is the encryption, are they using hashing? If they're using hashing, what is the hashing technique that they're using? Is it some old standard hashing techniques, or are they new, and all that? Okay, you have lots of details. It all boils down to that IT administrator who is evaluating the software. Okay. The second thing that, apart from storing passwords, the second thing that password management solution is good at is capable of managing passwords. Okay, so let's say you're an IT administrator and you would like to share, access of a specific computer, or let's say a confidential server, to your contract employees, but you don't want to expose their passwords. Okay, so what you do is you can give them a shadow login. So that they do not know what the actual password is to that server, but it will still allow them to log into the server via the password management app. Okay, so it has its own benefits, but if you're talking about the drawbacks, well, you're putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah,
a password management solution basically has all your passwords. So
right.
If it's not secure enough, well, we'll get to know about it.
Okay, Shilpa?
Rahul, we have this question from Vaishak Hirendranath. Can PDFs we download on our phone contain malicious codes too, and can they access our phones?
Yeah, so PDF files can have malwares, right? And again, that is because a PDF file is rendered by a PDF software, like Adobe, PDF Reader, etc., etc. So these softwares itself will have vulnerabilities, which is again has to be patched. Again, the Adobe Reader have a vulnerability. So using that vulnerability, I can craft a PDF, which when you open on an unpatched system will drop a malware. So the answer is yes. So again, it's important to update your Adobe's Reader software as well, not just your entire computer.
Okay. Vivin, there's an interesting question here. Many firms, this happens in TUI as well, link all the digital interactions, VPN, login, ERP systems, productivity tools, even to an employee's unique Active Directory credential. How is this achieved at the back end? Is there a security risk in allowing third-party softwares to access the AD for authentication?
All right. So there are two parts of the question. One is the first part, answering to the first part of the question. Now, how is it achieved? Okay. So one, username and password, it gives you access to ERP, VPN, and all that. So there are a lot of technologies that you can adopt. So you talking about it from Microsoft's standpoint, you have ADFS, Active Directory Federation Services. That's one of their services that they offer. And then you have single sign-on, you have password sync and all that. Okay, so it doesn't matter what technology you are using. It again boils down to your requirement. What is your business requirement? Okay, and answering to your second question, second part of the question is there a risk? Okay, 100% yes. Okay, any software that you deploy, be it the one that you trust, the one that you don't trust, or whatever it is, any software that you deploy has its own risk. Okay, so we have to actually weigh the pros and the cons of using such software, and then if you'll have to find out which one comes at top. Okay, if there are a lot of advantages versus the disadvantages, why not use the software? Okay, then you'll have to really pay attention to what happens after you install the software. And just because you are at risk of getting or your account is going to be misused, you're not going to stay away or shy away from using net banking services. Okay, if you're using net banking services for money transfer, if you ask me, is there a risk involved? 100% yes. But the advantages and the disadvantages. Okay, if the advantages are greater, why not adopt a technology and then fix your alarms in the right places to watch out for what if something goes wrong. Try and protect that. Just because something is unsecure for like 10%, you don't shy away the complete technology. So you can bring in third-party tools, but you'll have to ensure that you take necessary measures to protect your data, irrespective of whether you have the third-party tool or you have your own native tool. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Shilpa?
Vivin, for the CIO of a startup working on limited budgets, what would your pitch be of having a dedicated vendor for AD management?
Okay. Again, two parts. Answering to the first part of your question, what would my pitch be to a CIO operating on a limited budget? Don't use Active Directory, okay? Because when you're talking about a startup would have less than, let's say, initially, in the initial phase, it would have less than 20, 30 members. Active Directory is a technology platform that is meant for, medium and large enterprises, okay? So managing 20 employees is not going to be that hard. You have technologies to do that. But when you're talking about employees in hundreds and thousands, then you need centralized administration. That's when you deploy something as Active Directory, okay? Because when you have Active Directory in your organization, it requires dedicated IT focus. You have to have a dedicated IT team. You have to have administrators, and the admin team has to, they have to keep up with the evolving technology. So there's a whole cost of maintenance involved when it comes to Active Directory. And I'm not going to suggest Active Directory to a CIO of a startup, okay, because they cannot afford the spending. Okay. Now, answering to the second part of your question, which is, I'm sorry, what was the second half of the question? If you could just repeat the question again, second part.
Yeah, this is on the same. What would the pitch be, and any suggestions for alternatives?
Oh, all right. The pitch would be as simple as this. Okay, better safe than sorry. So that's my pitch. So I think a CIO will understand this a lot more. I need not say anything more when it comes to Active Directory. If at all they are planning to deploy Active Directory, I'm 100% sure a sensible CIO would pay enough attention. And you need not actually try and convince them in making them believe that Active Directory is important. They know it. So yeah.
Okay. Rahul, what's the role of ethical hackers? Do you use them by any chance? I mean, or do you tell organizations to use them?
Yeah, absolutely, right. I mean, all the good things that has come out in the cybersecurity world have been by the ethical hackers. Again,
really?
Hacking is a skill, right? It can be used good or bad. It's like a new, it's like a weapon, right? You can use it to defend or like for offense, right? Very similar to that. So yes, and then the term ethical is about whether they use the skills for the betterment of something or for personal benefits or destroying something, right? So yes, of course. I mean, if you should obviously use the right ones to find
Mm.
problematic things and solve it.
Okay. Do you use them yourself to check on anything at all?
We are a cybersecurity company, right? So if you
Okay.
so 30% of our workforce would be cybersecurity researchers, ethical
Okay.
hackers. We gave them the title security researchers, right? Again, I mean, you can add ethical to it, ethical security.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, I think 30% of our workforce are these security smart people who are the ones who are publishing these reports and constantly looking at new trends of attacking, right?
Okay.
And yeah, telling the world that this is happening.
Okay. Vivin, I think this is for you. This is from Prithvi Chandra. Are organizations right in giving all administrator privileges to the IT team only, making us dependent on the IT desk for something as simple as updating my browser version? Is there a middle ground for this?
All right. Again, I'll go back to my vaccine analogy. Okay, it is painful. It is painful, but it's okay. Let me give you. This falls under the category called software restriction policy. Okay? We have something called SRP, software restriction policy, where end users are not allowed to update certain information. They are not allowed to install software, and they find it really annoying at times because they need to get something done and they try and download, they Google it up, they try and download the software, and you have a pop-up saying, sorry, restricted. Okay, it's for an end user, it's an annoying experience. But if you take a look at it from an administrative standpoint, there are greater benefits. Okay, so let me give you a very simple example here. I'm 100% sure that almost all of you, those who have joined and in the panel, are using Word, MS Word, right? So for typing documents and everything. Okay. What if I told you that if I actually send you an email tomorrow with a simple Word document, that Word document, if you download it and if you have it in your system for almost like 10, 20 minutes, that Word document could take down the vital parts of your IT infrastructure in less than 10, 15 minutes. Okay. That is the kind of, ransomwares that we are talking about. Okay. Ransomware has been in the market for almost like 5-6 years now. You're hearing all kinds of ransomwares. Okay. So MS Word basically operates from a specific directory. So let's say C program files or Microsoft or Word or whatever it is. But the best part is if you can use MS Word to initiate another application, which is in a different path altogether. For example, in the MS Word document, if I give you a Zoom meeting link, you click on that link, it immediately takes you to the Zoom meeting. Okay. If you have an MS Teams link in the Word document saying, hey, join this link, when you click that link, it again initiates a MS Teams meeting. Okay. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying, right? So the MS Word document, a very simple document that we use, application that we use on a daily basis, can initiate other external processes. Okay. An attacker could use, instead of a MS Teams link, could also, embed a piece of malware that could be triggered. And that malware could be a Trojan file that basically, exfiltrates all important information and do all kinds of destruction as much as possible. So if you're asking me, why is it restricted? My answer would be, it is better that way. So there has to be some sort of, security check in place. Of course, you have two types of applications, let's say whitelisted and blacklisted applications. For whitelisted applications, maybe your administrators can put them all in a local repository and say, hey, users, if you want to use any of these applications, go to this location, download it from there because it's all safe. We have tested it and you're all good to go. That can be done. But allowing you to download or update anything at your will, as an end user, it might be good, but not at the cost of your organization's security.
Okay. And these alerts that you mentioned, those typically you have to pay more to set those alerts, is it? Otherwise, it's a manual effort, is it?
You're talking about the ML part that we.
You mentioned for various out of the ordinary things that happen and all that. How does it work? It's not automatically. It's not part of the. It's a separate payment involved and all that, is it?
It depends on the vendors. Some of the vendors have it built in. Some of them have it as a plugin. It doesn't matter. So all I would suggest is you can be using any vendor and they can be giving you ML as part of the package or as an add-on. Please use it. Okay, it's okay to spend a few dollars on your on your ML. I wouldn't say AI, on your ML part, rather than repenting it later. So
without that, it must be a huge manual effort, no?
Absolutely. So imagine setting up 20 alert profiles, and every time some user does something, you get 20 emails. Okay, and the IT team will only be firefighting all the time. They'll not have time to proactively design an IT security strategy. So an effective IT team, or let's say a SOC team, should be 30% firefighting and 70% proactive designing. Okay, but if it's the other way around, then something is really wrong with your security strategy.
Okay. Shilpa, I just want to ask Rahul. Rahul, what dark web, you've seen a significant rise in activity in since the pandemic and all that?
Yeah. So it's okay. I think I'll just correct to what Vivin said. Yeah. Well, post the pandemic, 70% of the IT workforce were firefighting, by the way, right? They were firefighting because many of these technologies were never made for work from home, obviously. And then all of them had to make it work from home. And then, like I said, right, I mean, okay, in the end, fundamentally, it's all about security. Why is security so important? Because every time a distress happens, every time an economy goes down, crime rates goes up, right? It's very simple. And COVID brought an economic slowdown, which means a bunch of guys now have a different mechanism to make money. And where do they target? These computers, right? And when the volume, and I'll tell you why machine learning thing is very important in this, right? Economy goes down, crime rates goes up. Before an economy was in a constant place, the IT people would have been spending on other things. But now all of a sudden, the cyber threats are going up, right? Attacks are going up. You can't have the same manpower to handle these cyber threats. You need more humans, but more humans are not scalable, right? That is exactly where machine learning comes into picture, right? You can't solve certain problems by putting more and more humans. First of all, it's wrong for the humans because they're going to do repetitive work and get sad. And it's not scalable either, right? Which is exactly why a machine learning sort of system, which can immediately scale, and it will make mistakes, but it will scale very well and detect much more patterns that you wouldn't originally knew. So again, when a next slowdown comes, cyber threats will go up. If your strategy is dependent on humans, it is going to fail. If your strategy is based on technology, you're building technology to defend, then yes, you will succeed. So that's what. And again, if you look at many companies in the last 1 year that got hacked, their strategy was dependent on humans.
Really? Okay. Okay.
Some of them.
Yeah, I can understand. Shilpa?
Rahul, I had this question. Many of the large corporations, including public listed companies, are bullied into paying a ransom because they are holding confidential information of your customer data. So they end up paying the ransom, and it is a big embarrassment to the company to announce it to their shareholders, sometimes done confidentially. So how do you think you can proactively encourage companies to avert a ransomware attack, and what are some of the best practices you would advise your companies?
Okay, point number one, I should strongly advise the government to pass a bill which prohibit paying ransom. It is already done in the US. In India also, you should have a bill which says no more ransom would be paid. As simple as that. Well, something happens, well, yeah, it happened. Because the problem is, okay, I just want to stress on this point, right? You're actually encouraging an ecosystem when you make a payment. When someone pays someone, there's an ecosystem which is created, and then they'll go after more computers, right? It's simply like the Taliban was created when governments gave them weapons to fight, the war, right? The guns created that ecosystem. If the guns never existed, then it wouldn't have been a problem. Similar to this, that every time you pay, you're encouraging someone to get into the new business. Let's go up. So a bill is very much required, and it's actually a separate topic altogether. So that's point number one. Don't pay a ransom. And even if someone comes and tells you that, well, we can solve your PR nightmares by paying the ransom, then they are the ransomware operators. Keep them away. As simple as that. Two, again, no, proactive, right? Proactively, well, you can have, constantly update on your devices. Second, incoming traffic, right? I mean, basically, most of these ransomware are exploiting one or the other vulnerabilities. It could be you visiting a website and you using a browser, and the browser has a security problem. Unpatched browsers, which will lead you to download a malware. You can exploit the browser. Again, you have to understand, ransomware operators don't have heavy budget like government. That means the tools which they use to hack already exist. They're just repackaging it for their own benefit, which means if you simply update your Chrome browser, you can stay away from a ransomware. If you update your Adobe software, which you use to read your PDF files, you can stay away from a ransomware. If you update your Microsoft Word, right, you can stay away from a ransomware, because the ransomware operators only have known tools, not unknown tools, because of cost. So that's one thing. Third thing is, see, these let's say you are infected, right? You are infected. There are various sites which will give you the access key to decrypt these ransomware files, by the way. It works. In some cases it works. You can try that mechanisms. Otherwise, just forget about it and move on is the only thing, right? So again, simply a good patch management can actually solve your ransomware problems, because ransomware operators use existing tools.
Okay.
I'd like to add a point to whatever Rahul said. One thing is, yes, you can try the decryption resources that are available online and all that. But one thing that can help you recover from a ransomware is having a decent backup of your existing state. That's really, really important. Okay, so you have an effective storage mechanism. You have the habits of, you have a process in place to back up your existing data. Okay, you have the habit of separating confidential data and not so confidential data. You have the habit of backing them up depending on their confidentiality. And when you're hit by a ransomware, one effective way by which you can recover is by using the backup that you already have. Okay, so we're talking about lesser downtime. And that's why you see that the storage companies have increased their sales, exponentially ever since the ransomware has come into picture. Okay, because that is an effective alternative.
People are all backing up.
Oh yes. So that's an effective medicine for ransomware. And of course, you can leverage the help, as Rahul mentioned. You have resources available online, but again, that depends. You do not know whether it's another trap. Okay, so it's always good to have backup. I just wanted to complete that statement.
How much more expensive is that?
It depends on the storage, because backup is always depending on the storage, depending on high availability, depending on efficiency. So you want your data restored immediately, and you want the business up and running immediately, and you're talking about terabytes worth of information, it's going to cost you. But trust me, the cost is all okay when compared to the cost of the ransom that you have to pay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Just like an insurance.
Just add to this point, right? In my perspective, a backup is much more, I just want to put that, backup is expensive than affording a patch management system, by the way.
Okay. Okay. You're saying, okay, patch management is more cost effective is what you're saying.
It's like a vaccine and a medicine. So vaccine is, you better get vaccinated than, treating yourself, because treatment is expensive.
Okay.
Sujit, we have this question.
Okay.
Yeah, Kalyani KV. Can existing malwares, viruses on an employee's personal device sneak into data from the corporate email that's synced onto the device? Maybe Rahul and Vivin, both of you can take this question.
All right. Let Rahul answer first.
Yeah.
I missed the last one.
You missed the last. Okay. Can existing malwares, viruses on an employee's personal device sneak into data from the corporate email that's synced onto the device?
Yeah, absolutely. If a malware is on your computer or your phone, pretty much everything you have belongs to the attacker. Okay, it could be a file you have hidden. I'm just trying to, even if it's a hidden file, yeah, they have access to the whole thing. Yes. The many times what we have seen is the attackers zip the entire emails uploaded somewhere, or in some scenarios we have seen them searching all of the emails trying to find certain things. It could be another password in the email, or maybe some other thing. So that is what we have seen, by the way. But some scenarios we have seen them uploading to the servers.
Okay. Just adding to Rahul's point here, I would request all of the listeners, all of the viewers, to do just two things. Okay, one is, if in doubt, don't click it. That is rule number one, because that's where all the problem starts. Number two is, when you open up a laptop on a Monday morning and you see something strange going on, okay, that you've not seen before, disconnect your laptop immediately from the network. And if it's a corporate device that you're working on, please let the administrators know. It is a favor that you're doing. Okay, you stay on the laptop for 60 minutes after you notice that, and then you call them saying your laptop's on fire. Well, it's going to be not so easy to recover. Okay, so these are the two things, the two simple things that you can do. So if in doubt, don't click. If you notice something strange, disconnect. Get your device disconnected. Inform the appropriate individuals.
Okay, thanks. So this is, we are 6 minutes beyond time. Thanks so much. Vivin, any final remark, your advice on Active Directory management?
No, I would say is, if you have Active Directory, then you'll have to look at various things, because people are saying that, hey, we have Azure AD, which is the cloud version of AD, and all of us are moving to cloud. So why do you have to spend more time in Active Directory? No, it is still important. Your on-prem Active Directory is here to stay at least for the next 5-10 years. Okay, and as long as it is staying, it is going to be communicating with the other part of your network. Okay, it is going to be talking to your VPN. It is going to be talking to your Azure. So when you do not pay enough attention to your on-prem, okay, by the way, we do not have much native tools to do that. Okay, we definitely have to depend on a vendor. So when you not pay enough attention, the entire IT circle is at risk. Okay, no matter you have your fancy tools, you have your state-of-the-art firewall and all that, all it takes is just one wrong click, to open the Pandora box. So you don't want that. You better pay attention to the basics. I'm not saying advanced stuff. It would be good if you do that, but at least see that the basic holes are plugged. And that would be my point.
Plug the basic holes. Okay, Rahul, any final words?
Not particularly. By the way, we have this mechanism of a free report which we give, a report which basically tell you whether any of your credentials, VPN credentials, or your software credentials, or you have unupdated servers live over the internet or not. We have this mechanism of like a free diagnostic report which we provide. Happy to help if any of the readers are.
How often do you provide? I mean, depending organization to organization, is it?
Organization, it's a one-time thing, right? It's mostly a diagnostic which says
okay,
employees' information is leaked, or
okay,
which is unpatched, right? It's like a complete external diagnostic report we can give, which can make you decide what is your security posture?
Got it. Okay.
Good, more community thing, right? I mean, many people don't have affordable cybersecurity solutions. So,
Okay. Great. I mean, like I said at the beginning, I mean, cybersecurity is, we hear this being spoken about by everybody now. And like all of you said, yeah, since the pandemic, particularly, things have become so bad. I mean, so much of digital transformation happening, attackers are up, and like Rahul said, economy going down, poverty is a big reason for why these things happen. So great discussion. Thank you so much, Vivin and Rahul. Thanks to ManageEngine for partnering with us on this. Thank you.
Pleasure, Sasi. Thank you very much for having us.
So much.